Thank you so much, Susan. That was great. As I was listening to that, I was transported back to the mid 80s. For those of you who were Saturday Night Live fans, there was Fernando's Hideaway. Billy Crystal did this character that was kind of ridiculous, and he always said, "It's better to look good than to feel good, darling." And it spoke to me in terms of this theme this month of the wonder of the body temple. And today's talk title and today's focus on loving the body temple. So about 90 minutes ago, 2 hours ago, I just tested positive for COVID. I'm okay. Things are going fine. But I share that with you from the standpoint of we are inviting ourselves to love the body temple at all times in all places and spaces. And there are actually, I would imagine, tons of conditions that we place upon ourselves to actually love the body temple. I was inspired and reminded by the reading that Tim offered today, this idea that we must turn from the worries of our body and remember the process of revelation is always happening, according to the words of Ernest Holmes. We must turn away from the worries of the body, the worries of the mind, and remember that the process of revelation, the process of healing, the process of perfecting is always happening. There's a great quote, as many of you know or may not know, in terms of my work as a minister. I work in the spiritual realm doing talks like this and doing one-on-one coaching. That I do a lot of work in the secular world, in particular with mindfulness coaching and mindfulness instruction, working with corporations around the planet. And it's the same principle, right? So principle is principle, but I just don't use the G word and spirit. It is all about consciousness and intent and attention. And if any of you are a fan of the master teacher Thich Nhat Hanh, bless his soul, who transitioned earlier this year, he once said, "Thanks to impermanence, everything is possible. Thanks to the ever-changing nature of life and of the divine, everything is possible." So even in the face of getting a COVID test, even in the face of losing a job, even in the face of anything happening in the body of our affairs, not just the body temple, but the entire body, everything is still possible. And to remember this is what I believe Ernest Holmes was inviting us to do, to turn our attentions away from the worries of our body, the body of the physical body that we dwell in, the body of our affairs in terms of our relationships, the body of our consciousness and our emotional space and our spirit. Turn away from those worries and remember the truth. That's why we do this thing called prayer. It's why we do spiritual mind treatment. Not to do something magical, but to magically pull our attention away from the very things that we think are real and turn to an inner realness. And it is from that inner realness that we actually get to activate the law, the principle that our consciousness impacts our living. So the description for today's talk was, our bodies are perfectly and wonderfully made. By learning to love our bodies exactly as they are, instead of demanding that they become something they aren't, we open to the experience of the here and now and can move into reverence and awe of this absolutely divine creation. Last week, Reverend Elzia opened up this conversation and welcomed us to the body temple and gave us a wonderful talk to inspire us to approach the body as a temple, a place of reverence, a place that is worthy of worshiping and worshiping in, that we are here to live in worship of this body temple, not sometimes or when things are great, but all the time. And so I'm going to continue with that conversation today. And one of my personal desires is always to try to be as pragmatic as possible with the spirituality that we are embracing here and with this teaching and philosophy. So today I invite us into some practices, some tangible things that you can do beyond our time together today that will allow us to love this body temple with all of our individual and collective judgments of what we consider to be good and what we consider to be bad. Because Lord knows the mind is designed to do one thing, and that is to process and judge. It's trying to protect us. So we have lots of opinions all the time. But in the face of that, our spirit can still know a truth. In the face of that, our mental body can still turn its attention away from the worries to something else. And that is what we are going to explore a bit more today. One of the things that presents us from loving the body temple is our capacity to time travel. I'm not talking about literally going back to a time where our body leaves this plane of present moment consciousness or physicality, but we are constantly time traveling out of the present moment into the past. And oftentimes it's when we are in that state of comparison. Oh man, I remember when my body could do all of these things when I was in high school, when I was in my 20s, when I was in my 30s, when I was in my 40s, when I was in my 50s, when I was in my 60s, whatever the age may be in terms of your duration on the planet. We constantly time travel away from this present moment and we compare ourselves to a body that was then. And that oftentimes can lead us into a space of sadness. We stay there for a long time, it can lead us into a space of depression, where all of a sudden we're constantly lamenting about this body that was, that no longer is. Or we leave the past, we leave the present, and we go into the future. And we start wondering, oh, what if the body could be this? This is the body that I desire. This is what I aspire to be. And neither of these time traveling directions are necessarily bad. But the most important moment that we could possibly live in for our body is right here and right now. This is why this spiritual teaching is about the present moment, is the moment that we can truly know the divine. And if we can somehow be with our ego that may not like the body that is here right now, may not like the mind that is here right now, it may not even like our spirit that is here right now. If we can be kind to this ego and still go deeper and beyond that egoic need to be right or to be conditionally in a space of this is good, this is bad, this powerful moment right here and right now to love the body as it is, man, this is everything, but it is one of the most challenging things to do. I speak personally from my own experience. I have I have been challenged with the surface level of my body and my opinion of it most of my life. It's really amazing what opinion does to our quality of living. We have these strong opinions that are followed by some really strong emotions. And in an instant, our experience of living in the here and now all of a sudden is transmuted and translated into something else. And depending upon that opinion, depending upon that emotion, it might be good or it might be bad, or may feel good or may feel bad. But with this process of spiritual treatment, with this process of meditation and prayer and affirmation, we can turn ourselves away from the worries. Worries are not bad if they motivate us, but if worries stay there and all they do is propagate themselves, then we start to experience not a great loving body temple, but a body temple that we condemn, that we shame. And so I want to draw a little bit on a larger body as reference. I was recently brought on to the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee of the larger organization, which I'm so grateful to be a part of. And I can't help right now to draw similarities between the individual work of consciousness and the collective work of consciousness, right? We talk about the microcosm and the macrocosm, that the principle exists on both scales. And so if you'll entertain this for a moment with me, there's something that we need to lovingly honor, and that is our history, our personal history and our collective history. I am in the process of reading the book Caste by Isabel Wilkerson right now. And it's a really interesting exploration into the history of caste systems. And most people associate caste systems with India because it's formerly been associated with how people live there. But actually, caste systems have been in existence in the United States for hundreds of years. It existed in pre and middle Nazi Germany. And she does this really interesting exploration of how we have layered you're kind of good, you're a little bit better than good, you're pretty good, and then this is good, then this is better than good. We've created this system, this caste, but it's completely subjective. It is not based in anything other than someone's opinion. And those collective opinions come together, and all of a sudden things get concretized into what we say is the way. And it is hard to read this book. It is really hard to hear about the history of lynchings and the laws, whether they were federal or state-based, that oppressed people for centuries in this country. And I'm not reading it to try to make myself angry. I'm not reading it to try to make myself feel hurt or less than. But I realize there's something really important to be an advocate for love, to be an advocate for embracing the body of this country and of this world right now as it is. We must remember our history and where we've come from. So just like it's important to know the history of this country, to know the history of the state and the community that we live in, we don't want to forget those stories so that we cannot repeat some mistakes that might have created the current state that we're in. This is a similar principle and idea that we can bring to our own selves, to our own body, to our own mind, to our own spirit, that it is important for us to remember where we've come from, not to dig up old sores, not to dig up old wounds just to make ourselves feel bad, but to just remember where we have come from. In the practitioner curriculum, for those of you who have gone through practitioner training, or maybe you're thinking about it, there's obviously the prerequisite classes that are required to enter into the program. But then once you do, it's a 2-year program. And in the first year, you're really looking at how your life got to be the way it is. You are looking at the consciousness, you're looking at the thoughts, you're looking at the behaviors, you're looking at the habits, you're looking at all the things that created your life the way it is today. And it's only through really understanding and honoring those things, whether you like them or not, whether your opinion is positive or negative of them or not, really honoring it, loving the body of your history, so that from this moment forward, you can consciously make a choice and expand life to really understand how you can live into a greater space of communion with the whole spirit right here and right now, even transcending or moving beyond our history. The word liberation for me comes to mind. The word freedom comes to mind as we think about this. As I mentioned earlier, we're constantly traveling to the past and to the future. We are time traveling away from the present moment, either trying to remember a long lost, forgotten day, or trying to create something that may come. And this isn't a bad thing. But the challenge is that we must liberate ourselves from time to time from the entrapments of the past and the future to land in the most powerful present moment that we could possibly have. And that is right here, that is right now, that is today. There is work that we must do, not just here, not just there, maybe in a workshop, but really I think it's work that we must do every day to liberate ourselves and re-liberate ourselves. Because it's so easy. We have these default tendencies. We've spent our entire life creating the person that we are today. And if we are attempting to love the body temple so that it can expand into more of who we already are, we need to be in powerful, right relationship with everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly, the things that we like and the things that we don't like. And so I want to take a few moments up front here in terms of practice to honor where we've come from and to liberate ourselves from those old stories, to liberate ourselves from the old consciousness, to liberate ourselves from any aspect of our past that might be still impacting, right? Because what we have done in the past, that's all manifesting right now. And we don't need to make ourselves wrong for our past. It's already happened. But what we can do right now in the present moment is love ourselves as we are. Love ourselves in the manifestation that we are. And in loving our current level of who we are, we only create more love in the future. And it's not about what we may or may not look like on the surface level. It may not be about what we are experiencing in our health underneath the skin. It's about loving the body, loving our consciousness, loving our emotional self right here and right now. And in so doing, we liberate ourselves from the past and we even liberate ourselves from the future. A powerful practice that I'm sure many of you have heard of. But if you haven't, I'm going to share it with you, just give you a brief understanding of it. It's something that comes from the Pacific Islands. And the practice is called Ho'oponopono. This is an exercise in forgiveness. This is an exercise and a practice of surrender. This is a practice of letting go. And so, as we come into remembrance, as we come into contact with any elements of ourself in the past that we may still be lamenting and worrying about in the present moment, Ernest Holmes says we need to let go of the worries of the mind and come to something good right here and right now. This is a practice that we can do every single day to liberate ourselves, to free ourselves. And I honestly think this is something I'm getting inspired by this conversation that CSL Denver is having this month. That this is something that we do like brushing our teeth. I use that analogy everywhere I go. So often we want to like nail it and get a practice right, and then we think we don't have to do it again. We are constantly evolving. And so on a daily basis, there are spiritual practices that we can do that will liberate ourselves so that we can love our body in the present moment. And Ho'oponopono to me is one of those practices. There are 4 phrases that we're going to go into a brief practice. There's nothing that you need to see. I invite you to just hear these words and repeat them yourself out loud or quietly in your own mind. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, let your eyes gently soften, or better yet, close. Feel your feet on the floor, your hands in your lap, your back against the chair, whatever position you may be in right now. Connect to this amazing body that, even in this stillness, is working amazingly to do so much to regulate, downregulate, upregulate all the different areas of the brain, the nervous system, the internal organs. A nice deep breath in and out. Offer these 4 phrases to any aspect, especially of your history, that may be hard to love. Simply say, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Say this to your body, inside and out. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I am sorry, body. Please forgive me, body. Thank you, body. I love you, body. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. A few more times. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Let these words reverberate just for a moment, for a few seconds on your own. Continue to say them or just sit in This kind, forgiving practice. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you to the body. A nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, lifting your attention back to the screen, lifting it back to our time together. So this Ho'opono practice, Ho'oponopono, I encourage you to go online and to read a little bit about it, to discover its history from the Pacific Islands, some of their spiritual practices and healing traditions. The power of kindness is beyond. And to be kind to the body, to be kind to our history, to forgive ourselves for all of our transgressions, if you will, whether it be physical transgressions, mental transgressions, emotional transgressions. The body is so much more than our surface appearance, right? Going back to Fernanda's Hideaway, it's better to look good than to feel good, darling. There's so many times that we attempt to look good. We want to be perceived right and well in the world, whether that's being perceived right and well in whatever judgments or considerations, outer circumstances that we may conditionally love ourselves around, or in interacting with our friends and family, our professional networks. We put so much weight on the surface of how we look in the world, but we um, but we must focus much more than just our physical appearance. The body is so much more than the skin. It is the skin and it's underneath the skin. The amazing function of this brain of ours, the amazing function of our nervous system, of our endocrine system, all of our organs that support nutrition uptake and the dispersion of it, and then eliminating waste. Last night, I went through an experience. I always try to just connect into the moment in any way that I can. And to celebrate this body, I decided to eat an orange. And as I was sitting there enjoying the flavor of the orange, the sweetness of the orange, the tanginess of it, I just marveled in the body's ability to extract vitamin C, this very potent and powerful vitamin that does something to boost the immune system. And I don't even have to think about it. All I was doing was enjoying this orange, and the body went to work. The body is so much more than the surface that we see it. Our body is complex. There is the physical body, but there's also the mental and the spiritual body. To love the body temple is to love the body, the mind, and the spirit. This is the crux of everything that I have ever done in my spiritual practice personally. It is the crux of everything that I attempt to do in my work with individuals and groups and in this talk. That we look at the surface as a place for manifestation, of realization, but it is truly the body, the mind, and the spirit, those three bodies working in harmony that come together that really allow us to expand and to love all of our body, not just the physical body, but the mental body and the spiritual body is important. But how do we love the body when it isn't lovable, or when something isn't to our liking? This is where the real work in consciousness is invited to be explored. If we are solely based on the external appearance of the body, then it will always be conditional and we will always be disappointed because the body is always changing. But going back to that idea from Thich Nhat Hanh, thanks to impermanence, thanks to the fact that that life is ever changing, everything is possible. So what we can do in the moment is to turn ourselves towards possibility, turn ourselves towards hope, turn ourselves towards light, turn ourselves towards something that is positive and affirmative as we work with this law to expand the experience of our body temple, our physical body temple, our mental body temple, and our emotional body temple. A reading from the Science of Mind says the body is the house in which, for the present, You are living and you need to keep it in good repair by a right mental attitude toward it, experiences, and people. Your body is entitled to your respect. So, respecting the physical body by the sleep that we get, the hydration that we offer it, the food that we take in, the environment that we put ourselves in, the respecting the mental body that connects to this physical body. The mind does so much to impact how our physical body reveals and expresses the spirit and emotional body, respecting all levels of our body. Even in the face of something that we don't like in what we see, there is a powerful presence within that if we go there and we turn our attention away from the physical worries, not to be apathetic, not to put our face in the sand, but to do something in the moment so that we can come back and be in right relationship with whatever state our body may be in. That is everything. And today we're going to close with some affirmations in a few moments before we go into prayer. So, in terms of giving a little bit of love to our history, in terms of giving a little bit of healing to wherever we may have come from, we embraced that Ho'opono tradition where we offered these 4 affirmations, these 4 words, these 4 mantras of I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And then in the present moment, to do something to bless the current level of who we are in the face of, even if we don't like something, to recognize, to turn our attention away from the worries of what we may see with our physical eyes and turn our spiritual and mental eye towards principle, to affirm that we are infinite beings. I am an infinite being. I love, accept, and appreciate my body. I am open to possibility. This is the balance, I guess, if you will, to start off with that Ho'opono practice and then to transfer into this current state. I am an infinite being. I love, accept, and appreciate my body. I am open to possibility. It loosens us from the right and wrong, the world of duality, the conditional love that we often offer our body. And if we could just um, embrace that one phrase, I'm an infinite being. Regardless of what we see, we know that we are more than what we see. We are infinite and there is possibility. So let us move into a space of spiritual practice together here and now to bless and love this body so that it can continue to be the most perfect expression of the divine. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through the mouth. And repeat either out loud or quietly in your own mind, I am an infinite being. I love, accept, and appreciate my body. I am open to possibility. I am an infinite being. I love, accept, and appreciate my body. I am open to possibility. I am an infinite being. I love, accept, and appreciate my body. I am open to possibility. And so, from this affirmative consciousness that we have cultivated here today, I know that there is a power and presence that has no condition. It is ever present, and that is the presence of spirit. That is the infinite loving capacity of the divine. I like to call this essence and presence God, but we may call it by any word that we choose because I know it is so magnificent, so brilliant, so expansive, so transcendent that it cannot be contained by our language, but we identify with it to the best of our ability, using the words that we know, letting them all be right and perfect. And so, not only is this essence something that we can look to, it is something that we can know that we are. I here and now, in this body temple, in this mental temple, in this emotional temple, in this spiritual temple, I am one with all that is. You are one with all that is. We are divine expressions of this universal presence. So let us step into the rest of this day. Let us step into this week to come, loving the body temple, loving it just as it is today, healing, letting go of the past traumas, the past choices and decisions that may have not served us. We simply say, um, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you, and let it be. And then to embrace right here and right now that we are infinite beings. We are infinite beings. So let us love the infinity that we are. Let us appreciate the pure potentiality that lives within this body, that lives within this mind, that lives within this heart. We from this place are open to any possibility. Thanks to the ever changing nature of the divine, everything is possible. So, whatever we are aspiring to in our minds, we bless it right now and know that a possible expression of it is finding its way into our living. If we can just hold the light, hold the torch, hold the truth that we are infinite beings. I'm so grateful to be in this conversation, to be reminded of the power of our consciousness, to be reminded of the power of this infinite body that is always working for us and never against us. Let us remember this truth. Let us embody this truth. Let us practice this remembrance day in and day out to partner with the divine, to co create the most amazing body inside and out that we could ever know. We release this, let it go, and so it is. Thank you so much, everyone. Peace and blessings to your mind, body, and heart. And I wish you well.